So now we're in the third week of Ordinary Time, and we continue every day with the Gospel according to Mark. And now we're in the fourth chapter, and he sort of changed his tone from lots of miracles to a very lengthy parable. And Jesus often taught in parables. And a parable is a very interesting way to teach because it respects the freedom of the listener. It's personal, but not all that personal. It's a little bit like a riddle, and everyone is kind of free to figure it out, but it's going to take some effort to think about it and figure it out. In this parable, you and me, the listener, we could do some role playing. We could say, okay, maybe I'm that seed that's fallen on the wayside. I'm the seed in the shallow ground. I'm the seed that grew up among the thorns, or hopefully I'm the seed that yields 30, 60, or 100-fold. And I know you all want to be the seed that falls in the ground that yields 100-fold. But there's another way to do the role playing in here, and you could be the sower. You're sowing the seed. And this especially applies to parents who are trying to pass on the faith and to grandparents. And what we can learn from the sower here is be generous in sowing the seed, and don't worry where it's going to fall. Are they going to accept it positively, or are they not going to accept it? Just keep sowing. And that's what we do at Relevant Radio every day. We get behind the microphone and we're sowing lots and lots of seed. Some falls on good ground, right? But this is what broadcasting is. The sower is actually broadcasting the seed and wasn't too particular about where it was going to fall. All right, for parents, it's important to sow a lot of seed by giving good example, speaking the truth, and teaching prayers to children and grandchildren, and understanding that sometimes seeds don't germinate for 100 years. That's a long time. Parents will often say, how many times do I have to tell you? 100 years, Mom. Yeah, 100 years. Keep at it. So this is a true story. There's a certain breed of sequoia trees out on the Pacific Northwest. And when you see where they grow, you say, it's impossible you could grow there on the side of a mountain in the rock. How did that happen? It usually takes a forest fire of intense heat to allow that pine cone to split open so the seed can germinate. And on average, forests, 1 acre forest burns down every 100 years, right? So that, I hope that can encourage you parents. It might take 100 years until your kid figures it out, right? How many times do I have to tell you that? I know one mother who was raising children, and one of her kids just could not memorize the Angel of God prayer. It's like the easiest prayer in the world to memorize, because that kid didn't realize he needed to know the Angel of God prayer, that he actually needed the Angel of God's help. And so it took that kid 35 years before he actually learned the Angel of God prayer, because he didn't realize until he was about 40 years old that he needed the help of his guardian angel. So as parents, just remember the power of example. And I'll close with one short story. When John Paul II went back to his native land of Poland at Wadowice towards the end of his life, one of the journalists said, hey, can you remember anything about your dad that you'd like to share with us? And he said, yeah, I remember when my father couldn't sleep, he would go downstairs and kneel on that kneeler in front of the Sacred Heart of Jesus, and he would pray. I remember that. And that helps me now. His father was sowing seeds by his example, and his son was watching every aspect of it. And later on, his son realized that helps me now as the Pope. I have to go down there and pray in front of the Sacred Heart of Jesus.